detriment. I have extended grace so much to it tore me down on the inside, to where I couldn't recognize who I was, where my esteem was on the floor. So it's a matter of extending grace, but just because you extend grace doesn't mean that we need to be in close proximity with each other.
Welcome to Burn Your Babes. I'm your host, Vale Chikuni. We begin.
Stefan, what do you think is one of the biggest struggles that people go through dating, or I'm going to say vetting, because that's what dating really is vetting. In the vetting process, what is one of the biggest, or let's say three, what are some of the three big things that they encounter while vetting?
I would say first, this is no particular order. The first is letting outside people influence their decision making. So whether that's sway them into a negative place or into overlooking red flags they shouldn't overlook. Because if you talk to or you get the advice of someone who, let's say you as a woman spoke to your mother and your mother stayed with your father even though he cheated on her all the time. If you come to her and say, well, this man cheated on me, she might say, well, all men do that. Don't worry about that. Stay with it, because she's speaking from her hurt. And she can't tell you to walk away when she didn't walk away. So you got to be careful of who you're trying to get advice from. I think the second struggle is not letting the past impact the present.
There it is. There it is. So
the majority issue for everyone, men and women, is lack of healing. And a lot of people don't want to accept and face how that's having a negative impact on their relationships. So you have some people, men and women, who they can meet the most amazing person tomorrow and they will start to question everything about them.
There it is.
They will look for something to be wrong. They can't believe that this person could be this good. And because of that, they will sabotage that situation. So healing is so necessary, because even if you get in a relationship with them, can you sustain it when you haven't addressed your past trauma?
There it is.
And 99% of people cannot. And then I would say the third thing is, again, not consulting God. So to the point of, looking for a man of God and the guy can read scripture. This is why we're not supposed to lean on our own understanding. Because if we use our own logic to determine if this person is right or wrong, we're gonna make the wrong decisions in most cases.
Facts.
God can see past all of that. And even to the point of, you might meet a man. I remember one time I spoke to a woman. She was like the head woman in her church. And she came to me, she was in her 50s. She said, I've never been married. I'm trying to find somebody, help me out. I said, so in all your years, have you ever been proposed to? She said, yes. I said, how many times? She said, 3 times. I said, why didn't you marry these men? She said, because I felt like they weren't on my spiritual level. All right? And I asked her, I said, so you came to that conclusion, but did you ever ask God? And the answer was no. So sometimes we're using our own brains, other people's opinions, our past hurts and experiences to determine if this person is worthy or not, when the reality is that we're supposed to give that to God.
There it is.
And God can tell us if we should be dealing with them or not. And I'm going to say one more thing to that, because even to the point of being good women of God, men of God. Listen, in all my years of coaching, almost everyone has moments where they fall short.
Facts.
Everyone. We may not hear about them all, but they do. It does not define the person. And if you don't have God to go to understand, okay, this is an individual that I need to give grace to and work with, because they are my person, but they're still human.
Tough.
Versus the individual who keeps messing up and never belonged in your life to begin with.
All right. So, Stefan, some of the things that he said there, yes, they are correct, right? So, he is also another guy who is a relationship guru, but he's single. The woman he's referencing to said that he's been proposed 3 times, but the men were not on her spiritual level, okay? So, what does that mean? I don't know. If it means that those 3 men were not Christians, were not believers, well, then she was right to not entertain them, okay? Because, by definition, they were unequally yoked to her. Now, if they were believers, except that maybe she was more mature in the faith than those guys, then I think, she could have, taken one of them, okay? As long as somebody is a believer, okay? You guys are, you're going to do a relationship together and grow, okay? So, hope, you're going to cultivate a relationship with him so that, you're doing scriptures and everything, right? To a point where he can be leading things of that nature, okay? At least the person is a Christian. At least the person is a believer. So, there's things that women can do to cultivate that in their in their relationship to be, right, in their husband. So I don't know. If they were not believers, yes, she was right to cut them off. But if they were believers, I think she should have taken advantage of that issue. Then the other thing that Stefan also said, we are deciding ourselves. We're not asking God. Guys, God has already spoken. The canon is closed, okay? Everything that we desire that pertains to life and godliness is already in the scriptures. If you don't read your scriptures, if you don't know your scriptures, yes, then you're going to find yourself in this situation where you're waiting for a woman with a burning bush, okay? That's never going to happen. But if you're reading the scriptures, then you know, okay, what does it mean for a woman to be a godly woman, for a man to be a godly man, okay? It'll be easier for you because when people are in the world, okay, they cannot pretend for so long. They'll be exposed just like that, okay? So when it comes to relationship, I say, you know, religious testing is allowed, okay? You have to discriminate, absolutely, okay? You have to discriminate, absolutely. So, but I'm very troubled by everything, whatever these guys are saying. The congregation, the place was packed. It was packed to the capacity. Everybody's just clapping. Looks like, okay, you know, they are all eating it up.
Yeah. I mean, we can wrap this up, Stefan.
Well, thank y'all for coming to the... Well, yeah. Hold on. That's a good question. That's a good question. So Karri said, how much grace? How much grace do you give? And we hear these scriptures about how often should we forgive someone that sins against us 70 times 7. 70 times 7. So, Karri, how much grace? When you think about that, how do you measure how much grace to extend in matters of the heart when you're dating someone?
Sure. I definitely think that grace should be extended because, as you said, none of us are perfect. But sometimes we can extend grace so much to our own detriment.
Right.
I have extended grace so much to it tore me down on the inside, to where I couldn't recognize who I was, where my esteem was on the floor. So it's a matter of extending grace, but just because you extend grace doesn't mean that we need to be in close proximity with each other. Sometimes it's healthier to just love people from a distance, communicate with people from a distance. But if I have to keep extending to you grace over the same thing over and over again, when you know that it harms me, when you know that it hurts me, and I've communicated it to you in a healthy way, at a certain point I have to say, now I'm not God, huh? Now he might keep extending grace, but I ain't got no more grace to give you. I got to go.
So let me say one thing real quick. We got to be real with ourselves when it's grace versus the fear of walking away. So a lot of times we're not giving grace. We just don't want to face the reality of this situation.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we don't properly address the issue. So we're saying, I forgive you, but nothing's been understood, nothing's been changed, and we go back in the same cycle. And again, that's why to me, it's always going to be dependent on, are you giving grace or are you being obedient to God telling you to give grace in that moment?
Yes.
Because there's going to be some situations where God will tell you off the first mistake, let him go. He was never supposed to be here. All right? Same thing, even with helping people. You know, sometimes I might see a homeless person on the street and I'll pray and ask God, should I give them? And I look at it as sometimes you're trying to help someone who God is trying to intervene on himself.
There it is.
And you're interfering with the process.
Yes.
So every situation that we deduct logically does not mean help or does not help. We just have to keep focusing on what does God want us to do in this specific situation.
That's good. That's good. Travis.
To pump blood to itself first. Just think about that. God made the heart with all of the organs in the body. The heart pumps blood to itself first. So if you find yourself extending grace to someone and they're taking the blood from you, shame on you, because the heart pumps blood to itself first.
That's good.
Period.
That's good. That's good.
Yes.
There's too much selfishness with these people, okay? It's always me. The scripture already assumes that you already love yourself. That's why it says, you know, love others as you love yourself. So that's already assumed in the scriptures. Not only that, Stephanie went on like, oh, if I'm on the street, I'm trying to help this guy, but I might be intervening on God. Like, no, you know, there's God's providence. You just live in your calling. If you want to help somebody, just help somebody. Whatever happens with that, that's God's prerogative, okay? So you shouldn't be out here deciding like, will I be getting in the way of God? You know, as long as it's, you know, whatever you're doing is not sinful, okay? We are called to help others. Just help others. Just do it, okay? Just do it. If you want to do that, just do it, okay? There are times that you're helping somebody into sin. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We know right from wrong, okay? So do the things that are godly and you'll be fine. Whatever God is doing with that person or not, it's none of your business, okay? You just be faithful, okay? Sweep your front porch. Be faithful where God has put you.
Didn't Jesus say turn the other cheek?
Yes.
Right, so I'm going to turn the other cheeks. I don't got more than 2 cheeks for you. Like, that's it. After that, it's a wrap, baby. You got to go. Sorry.
I would love to see Jesse as a relationship therapist. Get advice from Jesse. That'd be funny. Listen, Travis, let me ask you this. What have you learned about yourself while being in these dating streets?
You know, when you don't know what to say, you say, that's a great question.
Yes, sir. Because listen, when you're dating people, they are mirrors reflecting who we are. And when you look at the decisions that you made, if you find yourself dating the same type of people, but you like, they got issues. No, you got issues. You keep choosing the same person over and over again. And so when you find yourself also being in situations where you may run into an amazing woman, but you weren't ready emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, all of that, then it shows you who you are. So what have you learned about yourself?
I'll give you an example of that. I think that's amazing. And you asked me to be here because you know I'm going to be myself.
Yes.
So a couple years ago, I met a girl at a restaurant, and we were talking, and we exchanged numbers. And y'all know I'm a hopeless romantic, so y'all know I didn't already fell in love in 48 hours. So we're talking for weeks and weeks and weeks, and we're getting to know each other, we're laughing. And then by maybe week 3, she tells me she's a stripper. So y'all know I'm already in love. So I'm trying to, as a man of God, I'm trying to fix it. I'm getting ready to pray her out of Magic City in the name of Jesus. So I'm making excuses for it. I'm calling my mom. I'm like, I see why the rappers marry the strippers. She's so sweet. She got a business plan. I'm going to help her out of this. But once I really started falling, I realized that I could not handle the place that she was in that moment. I couldn't handle it. And for me, she's like, oh, you can trust me. You can sneak in the club and sit in the back. I ain't doing nothing crazy. I said, no, I'm not coming. But what I did was I tried to make a whole bunch of excuses.
She said she wasn't doing nothing crazy. No, come and watch me.
So listen, it's so funny. I was going through something in the business, and one day I asked Kurt Franklin for advice, and he was like, oh, let's talk. And I thought he was going to tell me some big, deep synopsis. He looked at me, he said, do what you can handle. And I really, really use that. And I know there are some non-negotiables that we have, and there's some things that we can handle. But now I live my life based on doing what I can handle, and what's not too much for me, because that was too much. I cared about her. I got addicted to trying to save her and bring her out.
Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I say when you're dating people, it reveals who you are. It's like,
we got some problems out here. Okay? So this is Travis, who professes to be a Christian. What are you doing dating a stripper to begin with? Huh? Guys, what happens every time when you meet the person? This is the first question that people ask. Oh, hi, how are you? What do you do? This is the most thing that everybody is going to ask you, okay? The first time you meet a person, you're going to ask them, what do you do? By the time you got their number, okay, so unless if she lied to you, that's fine, okay? Unless she lied to you, and now because she lied to you, then you have no business to be with that woman, okay, because she lied to you. But according to his own testimony, this woman was a stripper, okay? But he's a believer. What are you doing with a stripper? This is not like a person who tells you, oh, you know what, I used to be a stripper. I'm no longer a stripper. God redeemed me. That's not his situation, okay? That is not his situation. So he's out here. Not only that, he fell in love with a stripper. So guys, how, according to him, it doesn't take him long to fall in love. Be that as it may. Okay, so I could assume it was more than 5 days at the bare minimum, more than 7 days. So he was in love with the stripper, and then he was even trying to save the stripper. How? Not only that, then he shared the story with his mom. Like, what are we doing out here? What are we doing out here? So if he had just applied the criteria of what you're looking for in a woman, biblically speaking, I mean, the stripper doesn't even make a cut in any way, shape, or form. Not only that, this woman, okay? So if this woman, right, she's a stripper, right? Which means there was nothing that she saw in Travis that made her be like, you know what, I don't think you're my kind. She even went as far as, you know what, you can come to my club, just sit in the back. Like, what is that? Like, to me, Travis should be offended with that issue. The audacity that took this woman, that she thinks that it'll be okay for me to go to her club while she's out there dancing naked at the pole. Can you imagine? So this guy didn't even get offended, but she even went to want further that she wanted to save this woman. I know we all have our negotiables and everything. Guys, you know, that's not even, like, what are we talking about over here? What are we talking about over here? No. That doesn't even fall in a category of negotiable, okay? We are looking for godly women, okay? So if your girl, she's out there stripping, sorry, she's not a godly woman, okay? She can have that as a history. She can be redeemed of that issue. But dating to evangelize doesn't work. And that's not even what Travis was trying to do, y'all. Okay, so we are in trouble. Yeah. So this is the problem, because these people, it's recreation dating. Yes. So absolutely, yeah, sexual immorality all over the place for sure. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Because why? How else are you going to fall in love? Because if this woman just told you, like, okay, I'm a stripper, the moment that she said that, you should have been gone. But he wasn't gone. He kept trying to save her. That's suspect. I'm sorry, Travis. Okay, that's suspect. Where are their pastors, man? Okay, church discipline is in order. That's the problem. Recreation dating. Okay, the concept of dating, it's even unbiblical. But let's watch more.
Like if you deal with a codependency issue, then you feel like, oh, I can help, you know, and you're like, you want to save the damsel in distress. Well, I could have gave you a scripture. You could have talked about Hosea and Gomer, where he was told by God to marry a prostitute to show Israel their unfaithfulness to him. So you could have used that and you could have married her. Not just playing.
Now, if y'all see my truck downtown tonight, just keep on.
Come on, man, that doesn't apply, okay? The Goma issue, that wasn't the rule, that was just an exception. So hopefully nobody's trying to pull that one. It's not even making sense.
On driving. Want to get my
So, real quick, I agree 100%. I think I've learned more about me in dating spaces.
Yes.
What I can and can't handle, what I do and don't want to deal with.
Right.
I won't apologize for having standards.
That's
I
good.
don't judge anybody who has an OnlyFans and you're showing your feet and then you're doing stuff. That's your business. I can't date you if you're showing your body on OnlyFans. I had a first date and a last date. She was like, oh yeah, you know, hopefully it's okay that I got this OnlyFans. I was like, cancel the appetizer.
You can't make it past the appetizer.
No, we ain't got nowhere to go from there.
Why you always canceling the appetizer?
I can eat later. Okay?
Okay, at least this guy was wise, right? Immediately you find out that, okay, this woman is on OnlyFans. It was just like, okay, you know what? This thing shouldn't go any further. That's how it should be, okay? Because somebody can lie to you, you don't know. That's fine. And then he went on like, oh, there's so much stuff that he's been learning in these dating streets. Why are you learning about a woman in the dating streets? Why are you putting yourself in that situation? Huh? Do you guys read your Bibles? Why would you want to learn about a woman in the dating street? And what are you doing in these dating streets to begin with? I cannot even understand what these guys are. No wonder they're attracting those type of women. Because they also, you know, if you are in that category, if you are in that company, yeah, man, what do you expect?
If we dated, and I'm gonna be respectful to the house of God, but that's my cookies and candy.
Right.
You're not gonna show that to the world.
Facts.
That's ours. You get to carry it around, but that's ours. So you gonna put some respect on my cookies and candy. I can't date somebody.
Yes, this is, do you see? This is sexual immorality on display. The woman you're dating is not your wife. And you need to put a ring on it, okay? Not only that, okay, the cookies and candies, those don't belong to you. She's not your wife. So if you're claiming that those are your cookies and your candy, you guys are just dating, that tells me that these people, they are dating relationship, they are having sexual relationships in their dating. They are not dating to preserve themselves for marriage. That's why they're still single, because they're getting all the benefits that you should be getting inside the covenant of marriage. That's why they're still single, because they can still get those things anywhere else. And they're out here professing to be believers. That should not be so. So what is the difference with Hollywood? What is the difference with people who are out there in the culture? There's got to be a difference. There's got to be a distinction. So they're out here airing their own laundry, okay? Just read between the lines, okay? We're not born yesterday, but we continue.
That's showing that. That's why you won't go on social media and see me participating in certain things and walking around in my drawers and the Great Sweatpants Challenge. I can win it. But I said what I said. I said what I said. I said what I said. I said it with my whole chest. I said it from here. I said what I said. But as a grown man, we gotta hang down.
You want some water?
Just want that soft life.
Thank you, Larry. appreciate that. But I feel like I feel like as men, I'm not sorry, I said it. But I feel like as men, we also have to lead by example. So the way I act publicly. What is happening? Security? But I feel like as men, we need to, I want to lead by example in a relationship, which means if there's a thing that I can't handle or I'm uncomfortable with, I'm not doing it.
Facts.
My person is going to understand that she's going to see me leading by example. And the same with conversation, a heated conversation.
Right.
If we're having a discussion, that's one thing. But even in an argument, I don't curse at my woman. Now, if we talking trash about basketball, yes, you made me a cussing Christian. I do that. And we, your team is this, that, and the other. My team is gonna kick your teams. We but we don't curse at each other, because if I carry that respect for you in those conversations and in those heated moments, I can demand that you do not speak to me that way in those heated moments, because I don't speak to you that way.
Talk about it.
How do you feel? Say it. Let's get to the bottom of it. Let's sit in this for a minute and see how we really feel about it, and then let's put it down. Let's put some dirt and a headstone on it, because we don't got to keep revisiting it.
Talk about
but
it.
you're not gonna talk to me crazy.
That's
good.
right, babe. That's right, babe. You better say that, babe. Babe said what he said.
Babe said what he said?
What's the next question?
My man.
My man. What's the next question? Next question, please.
So I'm gonna ask y'all this.
I think, did you see what she's doing? She's flirting with him. Yo, man, this is crazy. Okay? And, this is Christian, right? He keeps saying he's 47 years old. He's like, okay, you're not going to talk to me that way. Like, I'm going to lead and everything. Like, you're not leading by example. If you're putting your woman, okay, and you value that woman, why are you putting the woman in that predicament, in that situation? That's not you leading by example. If anything, you are just leading that woman to sin. Okay, so believers, man, these people profess to be Christians. I'm sorry. To me, it just sound like they're just Christians in name only. Okay. All right, guys, that is all that I had for you guys today. I hope you find this to be informative to you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like this video. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Until next time, remember to be in the know. Thank you.